and welcome. Tonight, the Economic Community of West African States makes a U-turn, lifts some sanctions imposed on Niger Republic, Mali and Guinea, resolves to invite the countries to attend its technical, consultative and security-related meetings. As the country grapples with economic hardship and other challenges, elder statesman Professor Angu Abdullahi blames the nation's political elite for the failures experienced since independence. Nigeria's SIB receives preliminary report from the US NTSB on the air crash that claimed the lives of 4 Nigerians, says helicopters suffered catastrophic damage as it caught fire before the crash due to adverse weather conditions. And the body of leading Russian opposition figure, Alexei Navalny, returned to his mother.
Out on business news tonight, Nigeria's local loss continues in winning ways, but closes in the red for the week.
And on sports news tonight, President Bola Tinubu declares open the 14th biennial Nigeria Police Games in Ibadan, with over 4,000 athletes competing in various sports events.
Quite a U-turn, and you may not be wrong. The Economic Community of West African States, Ecowas, has resolved to immediately lift some of the sanctions it imposed on the Republic of Niger, Mali and Guinea after the overthrow of democratic government in those countries by the military. The president of the Ecowas Commission, Mr. Omar Touare, who announced the resolution following the extraordinary summit by leaders of the regional body in Abuja, explained that the decision is based on humanitarian considerations. The summit deliberated on peace, politics and the security situation in the Ecowas sub-region. Our State House correspondent, Larry Lasisi, who was at the summit, has this report.
It's the first extraordinary summit of the Economic Community of West African States, Authority of Heads of State and Government, holding in Abuja. It is focused on the peace, political and security situation in the Ecowas sub-region. In his welcome address, the bloc's chairman, President Bola Tinubu, emphasized the importance of a comprehensive and collaborative approach to addressing pressing security and peace developments, as well as political situations in the republics of Niger, Burkina Faso, Guinea and Mali.
Times like this, currently, we face in our sub-region demand that we take difficult but courageous decisions that put the plight of our people at the center of our deliberations. This is why we must re-examine our current approach to the quest for constitutional order in 4 of our member states.
He also reaches out to the military leaders in the 4 countries.
I therefore urge them to reconsider the decision of these 3 nations to exit our home and not to perceive our organization as the enemy, because we are not the enemy.
The meeting then goes behind closed doors. Over 2 hours later, it is time to receive the resolutions reached.
The authority has resolved as follows. Release of President Bazoum. The authority calls for the immediate release of His Excellency Mohamed Bazoum, former President of the Republic of Niger. The authority also calls on the transition authorities in Niger to provide an acceptable transition timetable to constitutional order.
He also announced the lifting of some of the sanctions imposed on some of the countries.
The authority has resolved to lift with immediate effect the following measures imposed on the Republic of Niger. A, closure of land and air borders between ECOWAS countries and Niger to be lifted. No-fly zone of all commercial flights to and from Niger is to be lifted. Suspension of all commercial and financial transactions between Ecowas member states and Niger is to be lifted. This decision is based on humanitarian considerations, especially as we are in the month of Lent and as we prepare for the holy month of Ramadan. The authority has also resolved to lift financial and economic sanctions on the Republic of Guinea.
A resolution was also taken on the notice of withdrawal by the three countries.
The authority takes note and further urges the countries to reconsider the decision in view of the benefits that the Ecowas member states and their citizens enjoy in the community. The authority further urges the three member states to resort dialogue, negotiations and mediation to address their concerns.
In response to the political crisis in Senegal, the authority urges Senegalese stakeholders to prioritize discussion in order to preserve Senegal's democratic advances through free, inclusive, and transparent elections. From the State House, Lanre Lassisi, Channels Television News.
Let's get more perspective on the decision reached today by Ecowas on Niger Republic and other countries. Joining us live from Abuja is a former Nigerian ambassador to Burundi, Ambassador Elijah Onyagba. A pleasure having you with us on the News at 10.
Thank you very much, and good evening, Nigerians.
Now, what do you make of the decision made by Ecowas today, lifting some of the sanctions it imposed on those countries where the military took over democratic governments?
Thank you very much, and a very good evening to you once again. My view about what has happened this evening, I have always felt that there was always going to be one way of resolving this matter, which is, using the diplomatic options to try and find a way to address the impasse. The sanctions originally was not because ECOWAS leaders wanted to place sanctions on them, but just to find a subtle way of putting pressure on the leaders of these countries to reconsider their stance. And of course, as a direct effect of those sanctions, obviously that gave rise to their resolution to pull out from the region. And to that extent, at the extraordinary meeting today, you can also see that the leaders of ECOWAS has also responded by lifting those sanctions with the immediate effect. So I believe that the leaders have done the right thing at this point in time. It is basically for the countries that are affected to sit down and figure out a way forward for both their citizens and, of course, how they can actually reintegrate back into the region. It was always going to be a difficult issue because there are quite a couple of Nigerians, for example, that live in Niger. Nigeria and Niger have had a long-lasting relations that, when you start having issues regarding movement, regarding no-flight zones, it's actually going to be very difficult affecting the citizens of both countries. And not just Niger, even the same with Burkina Faso and the same with Mali. So what I think that has happened is that the leaders of ECOWAS has actually opened the door for negotiation, just to try and find a way to sit down with them, with the leaders of these countries, and then find a way forward that they can actually easily be returned to democratic rules. And I think that the leaders have responded in the right manner. Let's just sit down and now wait, because, of course, the three countries had already mooted an idea of having a confederation. And of course, with this latest decision of ECOWAS, my belief is that both countries will now sit down, the three countries involved will now sit down and figure out how they can come back, reconsider their decision, and get reintegrated back into the system. What has happened again is that you can see that the lifting of financial sanctions, they also making it easier for the families of the junta leaders to also travel. Some of the travel restrictions that has also been placed on them. So all of these things are actually going to make it easier for both the countries that are led by the junta and the rest of the region. So I believe that this is a step in the right direction. And I think that the president, who is the leader of ECOWAS at this point in time, have done the right thing by ensuring that this happens.
Now, Ambassador, indeed the door has been opened, like you said, but what do you foresee would be the response of those countries, especially those who have already severed ties with ECOWAS?
No, what has happened is very clear. The reason why they gave for severing their ties with ECOWAS is just because of the sanctions that was placed on them. So I believe that if now that the sanctions have been lifted, I am of the strong opinion that they are going to reconsider their position. Do not forget that these three countries are landlocked. There's no way they can access waters and import things without passing through other West African countries like Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, some of the countries that actually have coastal lines. So, and don't forget that there are citizens of these countries that are also residing in some other countries within the region. You can imagine if businessmen in Burkina Faso now find it difficult to travel within the region, something that they have always done with ease, and the same also goes with Niger and that of Mali. So I believe that the leaders of these three countries will actually look at what decision that has come out of ECOWAS, and I believe that I'm very clear in my mind that they will welcome the decision and then try to find their way, because it's about the citizens. It's not just about the leaders. It's about the citizens. It's about the businesses. It's about the nature of transactions that cuts across within the region. So I believe that they will respond in a positive manner. That's my honest assessment of the situation.
Ambassador Elijah Onyegba, a pleasure sharing your thoughts with us on the News at 10.
Thank you so very much. Thanks for having me.
The political matters now. The candidate of the All Progressives Congress for the Edo governorship elections, Senator Monday Akeredolu, has been presented with his certificate of return. Speaking at the presentation ceremony in Abuja, the national chairman of the APC, Mr. Abdullahi Ganduje, says the party is on the way to winning the election because APC has produced a sellable candidate. Meanwhile, one of the APC governorship aspirants, Mr. Dennis Idahosa, today staged a protest at the national secretariat of the party, demanding the cancellation of the party primary.
One of the Edo State governorship aspirants under the All Progressives Congress, Mr. Dennis Idahosa, leads a protest to the national secretariat of the party.
It will cause a lot of havoc.
Mr. Idahosa, who was initially declared winner of the exercise by Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State, is threatening legal action against the party if justice is not done.
I'm calling Mr. President to call NWC to order. Elections were held on the 17th. What they did on the 22nd were just selection. And I challenge one of the LGA returning officer to show me a picture of him in the local government headquarters where he said he collected the result. And he was just blabbing.
Inside the conference hall of the party's secretariat, members of the National Working Committee of the party are receiving the reports of the exercise. After the presentation of the reports, the national chairman of the party speaks on the process.
During the first instance, as you know, a lot of controversies surrounding the primaries. It was the announcement of 3 aspirants as candidates. As a result of the report we received, we found out that that exercise was not concluded, and we declared it inconclusive. I requested the same committee to go back and conclude the inconclusive election.
In his acceptance speech, the candidate of the party explains that his ambition to become the next governor of Edo State has no tribal or ethnic inclinations.
I shall leverage on the collective strength of all of us, the passion for a greater Edo. I am humbly requesting all my brothers and sisters who contested with me, the primary with me, to pull together so that we can work together in harmony to the Edo.
Although some aggrieved aspirants are considering legal action over the outcome of the February 22 governorship primary, the party is confident that the people of Edo State will vote for the party during the election proper on the 21st of September 2024.
In part 2, after the break, as prices of essential commodities soar in various parts of the country, we bring you the situation report from Port Harcourt, the River State capital. That's in a moment. Join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. The Economic Community of West African States makes a U-turn with some sanctions imposed on Niger Republic, Mali and Guinea. Resolves to invite the countries to attend its technical, consultative and security-related meetings. As the country grapples with economic hardship and other challenges, elder statesman Professor Ango Abdullahi blames the nation's political elite for the failures experienced since independence. NSIB receives preliminary report from the US NTSB on the air crash that claimed the lives of 4 Nigerians, says helicopters suffered serious damage as it caught fire before the crash due to adverse weather conditions. And the body of leading Russian opposition figure Alexei Navalny returned to his mother. The hardship being experienced due to the high cost of living is becoming unbearable for many Nigerians in most parts of the country. In Rivers State, our crew sampled some commodity prices in Port Harcourt, the state capital, and discovered that the prices of essential food items have tripled over a short period. Our correspondent, Deborah Agbalama, has this report.
The high cost of living has sparked off protests and debates across the country, with Nigerians calling on the federal government to do something fast about the upward trajectory of the prices of goods and services as well as food items. We visit Creek Road Market within the Port Harcourt metropolis to experience the challenges faced by residents.
So what did you get from your calculation?
Okay, from the calculation, all this one excluded, only these few items on top, 30,015 naira.
30,015 naira?
Yes.
Which is 15 naira above the minimum wage. Here we're talking about a paint bucket of beans, a paint bucket of rice, just about 3 sachets of groundnut oil, and then tin tomatoes, 2 packs of spaghetti, and just these few items, and then some tin tomatoes. And you have 30,015 naira. Already 15 naira above the present minimum wage.
Some traders highlight the significant price increases compared to the previous years.
If you have to buy all these things, only this one costs 35,000, and it's a half bag of rice. All this one summed together, they are 38,000 naira. So if you should calculate 73,000 in total. All these things come out 73,000 naira.
Broker carton is 74,000 naira. We used to buy it 30,000, 28,000. What about the high switch? There is no way to buy it again. We used to buy it 14,000. Now it's 45,000. Now they are telling us again it's 52,000 naira. How are we going to sell it?
Many state governments are weary of these suggestions, oftentimes saying they cannot afford to pay. Civil servants at the Rivers State Secretariat believe a gradual increase will solve some of these issues.
The ideal minimum wage should be 200,000 naira. Looking at the economic hardship that is ravaging Nigerians.
Encourage farmers and let the farmers have more products in the market. Even though we have 50,000 minimum, you can survive.
Chairman of the Nigeria Labour Congress in Rivers State, Alex Agwonwo, is adamant about the demand for 1 million naira minimum wage, citing the government's failure to honor previous agreements with Labour.
The rate, the price of goods is soaring that Labour may have no choice than to propose 1 million for minimum wage. We have no choice than to propose 1 million. And it's very obvious because if the price of goods, price of food continue to increase, then what will be the determining factor of a minimum wage?
As the debate over minimum wage continues, the plight of low-income earners persists, underscoring the urgency for decisive action to alleviate their sufferings amidst the economic downturn that is also affecting even the average income earners. Deborah Agbalama, Channels Television News.
Ahead of next week's planned nationwide protest by the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, is urging the union to shelve the action. In the letter addressed to the Council for the NLC, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Femi Falana, the AGF explained that there is a subsisting order restraining the union from embarking on any industrial action. According to the letter, parties in the suit cannot resort to public protest over the same issues already before the court, as such conduct amounts to gross contempt and affront to the institution of the courts of law. The AGF also stated that the federal government has substantially met the demands of the union as contained in the Memorandum of Understanding entered with the NLC. On February the 16th, the NLC had issued a statement that there would be a nationwide protest on February the 27th and the 28th in demonstration against the current economic hardship in the country. Meanwhile, elder statesman Professor Ango Abdullahi is blaming Nigeria's political elite for the failures the country has experienced since 1960. He's also calling on the political class to urgently get back to the drawing board and fix the country. Professor Abdullahi spoke at a book launch in Abuja on the relationship between politics and the courts in Nigeria.
The main auditorium of the Yaruda Center is filled to capacity with politicians, lawyers, and some members of the Nigerian civil society. The event is the unveiling and presentation of the book, Court and Politics, which spotlights the Nigerian justice system.
Our judiciary was one of the best in Africa. We used to send some of our judges to African countries to train their judicial system. We cannot afford to sit down and allow a sophisticated institution to be delivering judgments that are detrimental to its own citizens.
The 556 pages book chronicles the opinion of the author on some of the recent court judgments following the 2023 general election.
In the intricate tapestry of governance, the nexus between courts and politics forms a pivotal thread, weaving the fabric of a nation's legal and political landscape. Court and politics delves into the dynamic interplay of these crucial elements, offering a profound exploration of the challenges, triumphs, and evolving contours within the Nigerian judicial and political spheres.
The book also sparked further conversations around the country's judiciary and the need for urgent reforms.
Someone mentioned here where an election, the fourth person in that contest was now declared the winner by the court. I think our judicial system must be reformed.
Justice is according to law, please. Justice is not at random. Justice is according to law. If the grounds are inconsistent with one another or inconsistent with the reliefs, such a petition will fail. It will.
Although the conversation seems to place the troubles at the feet of the country's judicial system, elder statesman Professor Ango Abdullahi has a different opinion regarding the failures of the political system.
This event, to me, is an opportunity for us to talk to ourselves and to talk to ourselves about our collective failure. 64 years of being free from a colonial administration. Nigeria, with 220 million people, or more than that, can only generate 4,000 megawatts of electricity. 4,000. What a shame. The time has come for us to really go back to the drawing board. That is my last word. Go back to the drawing board so that this country can be saved.
The judiciary is an essential arm of government which interprets the law. However, in recent times, the courts have also become a critical factor in determining the winner of an election, a situation that many at this forum think needs to change.
In other stories, the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau has received the preliminary report from the United States National Transportation Safety Board on the helicopter crash that claimed the lives of the former Group Chief Executive Officer of Access Holdings, Mr. Herbert Wigwe, alongside his wife, son, and the former chairman of the Nigerian Exchange Group, Mr. Abimbola Ogubanjo. According to a statement issued by the NSIB, initial findings suggest that the helicopter suffered serious damage as it caught fire before the crash due to adverse weather conditions that witnesses described as not good and raining with a snow mix. The report adds that the helicopter suffered serious damage upon impact, resulting in the fragmentation of its major components. Parts of the report note that the wreckage of the helicopter was discovered in the high and hilly desert in California. According to the NSIB, the prerogative granted by the International Civil Aviation Organization's Annex 13 to the Convention on International Civil Aviation gives it the right to access investigation information on aviation accidents and incidents involving Nigerian registered aircraft or Nigerian citizens in 193 countries of member states. The security matters now. Following the killing of a notorious bandit kingpin, popularly called Bodero Ishiaku, the military has returned to Jukun local government area in Kaduna State to meet with community leaders and also strategize on how to track down other terrorists. During the visit, the community leaders commended the Nigerian army and the governor, Obasani, for eliminating the bandit kingpin and called for more preventive measures to enable residents move freely within the area.
For many years, Dambakasaya and Buruku communities in Chukun local government area of Kaduna State have faced insecurity challenges orchestrated by bandits led by notorious kingpin Boderi Ishiaku. The activities of the bandits' leader not only caused untold pain and hardship to thousands of residents of the areas who are predominantly farmers, but posed a stiff challenge to security agencies. The community leaders say that for many years, the bandit leader has been behind most of the deadly attacks in Kaduna and Niger states. He was gunned down on Wednesday alongside some of his fighters by troops of the 1 Mechanized Division of the Nigerian Army around Bada and Riwaya general areas of Chikun and Igabi local government areas. About 17 kidnapped victims who were held hostage in the camp of the notorious bandits were rescued during their operation coordinated by the general officer commanding the 1 Mechanized Division, Major General Valentine Okoro, on Wednesday. For the residents, the elimination of Boderi is a significant milestone in the ongoing fight against banditry in Chikun local government area.
How we had that this man was killed, so we are really happy.
Before there is no death that you will not see patient or dead body for this our hospital that they decide. But now the thing used to go easy. As those soldiers that there for that Dambasa, they are really trying.
The military is promising to sustain their aggressive onslaught against bandits, and the GOC, who doubles as the theater commander of Operation World Punch, is making this commitment.
Restoring confidence in the people, promoting legitimate economic activities remains our focus and priority in 1 Division area of responsibility. Across our entire area of responsibility, we are putting in measures to ensure that no Nigerian is intimidated, no Nigerian is prevented from carrying out his legitimate activity or business.
It is a victory. It is a landmark success that we achieve. For over 8 years, we've been trailing that element. He has caused our state so much. He has killed so many citizens, so many cases of abductions, so many communities have suffered so much as a result of his terrorism activities. But we're grateful to the military, in particular the Nigerian Army, who brought his reign to an end.
With the elimination of some bandit leaders and their foot soldiers in many of the frontline locations in Kaduna State, the Nigerian army is upbeat that the enemies of the state will be defeated in no distant time to enable residents of the vulnerable communities return to their normal, legitimate businesses.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, inspects Red Line rail project ahead of his inauguration by the president. Plus, profit-taking weighs on the local bourse as the NGX ASI declares 3.26% for the week. And that will be on Business News. Please stay with us.
Big tech wasn't really here. What have they seen in the past 10 years, which is making all of them want to put their HQ here?
If you're a business that sees itself growing global, we'll definitely need some sort of like boost. We need to tap into those existing networks that these big tech companies do provide.
Is there a downside to big investment in Africa? Okay. It's a tricky question.
We want to be like Amazon, we want to be like Google. Like, this is not, we are not looking to sort of be just another player.
For me, big tech is something highly controversial. I see the value of it, but I also see that Africans should stop playing second fiddle to some of these organizations and have the confidence to start building our own technology.
We've seen how we are using the limited resources we have to solve real problems. They've seen indigenous tech startups achieving things that took them years to figure out.
Welcome back. Here in Lagos, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has been inspecting the Red Line Rail project ahead of his inauguration by the president. The governor, accompanied by his deputy and some top government officials, were at the Ikeja train station for a test run of the brand new trains acquired for the Red Rail corridor. The test drive is part of the final checks ahead of the project commissioning on Thursday, February the 29th. According to the governor, today's inspection is final. He said the government will continue to find solutions to the challenge of pedestrians on the track and wrongdoings that have been observed by the Lagos state government. The indiscriminate consumption of locally produced alcohol raises concern about public health and safety. An effort to address health risks associated with these products and promote responsible consumption made Nafdac issue a ban on the production of alcohol in sachet. That decision has generated a lot of reactions across the country. In this special report, our correspondent Victoria Longjohn examines these reactions and the implication of the ban.
On February 1, 2024, the National Agency on Food, Drug Administration and Control, Nafdac, commenced the implementation of the ban on the production, distribution, sale and consumption of alcoholic beverages in sachets, PET and glass bottles of 200 millimeters and below. The move followed the end of the 5-year ultimatum issued by Nafdac for the phasing out of such production. Beyond the health implication, the Director General of Nafdac explains that the ban is aimed at controlling unrestricted underage access to alcoholic drinks.
The World Health Organization has established that children who drink alcohol are more likely to use drugs, get bad grades, suffer injury or death. These are pocket-friendly. One can be easily pocketed by primary school children, and they do that.
Since Nafdac wielded the big stick, there has been reflections on the implications of the action. Members of the Food, Beverage and Tobacco Senior Staff Association, an affiliate of the Nigeria Labour Congress, is one of the groups protesting the order.
We will request the Director General of Nafdac or our representative to come and receive our letter of protest, which has articulated all our demands. so that it will be in the public domain, that we have presented what the issues are in written, and we are going to give a reasonable time. Reasonable time in these circumstances is 40 working days. Within 2 weeks, if that obnoxious decision is not reversed, we will come back.
I will only advise the federal government to look inwards. Rather than putting some people out of market, they should rather strengthen their institutions and ensure that their institution is so strong to ensure that they will be able to effectively police the aspect of the underage accessing alcohol.
Those underage, if they are in schools, drinking of these things will not be there. But when you just ban this thing now, it's going to affect the economic, because those who are producing it, they use it also to boost the economy.
Even if I have a child that's 17 years old, I won't allow you to take alcohol because it's not good. I guess it's the right choice they made, but on the other hand, some people are not happy about it, but some people are also happy about it. But I think it's a good idea for them to ban that sachet alcohol.
The Nafdac hinges its decision on efforts to address social issues associated with alcohol abuse, particularly amongst young Nigerians. However, is the Nafdac action enough to address the challenge?
Yes, for the fact that it's going to put a peg on availability of incentive for bad behavior. I think manufacturers and people who produce such things should look at the societal impact of such products. Do I, because I need money and I want to widen my bottom line, as they say, produce what will bring a negative consequence to society? How about the destinies of these children? What Nafdac did is just the right step in the right direction for the wholeness, societal wholeness, personal wellness, and for productivity.
Nafdac seems commendable. However, for the agency to successfully implement the ban, many suggest a multifaceted approach through collaboration with stakeholders in the alcohol industry and a clear communication in addressing challenges in the transition process. Victoria Longchan for Channels Television News.
Staying with health matters, the Niger Delta Development Commission, Nddc, has reached and carried out medical emergency interventions in Soku Island and its satellite communities in Rivers State following the emerging health crisis in the area. The medical intervention followed a Save Our Soul letter sent to the agency by the residents over a persistent outbreak of waterborne diseases, which they say has claimed 9 lives recently.
Soku, a coastal community in Akukutoru local government area of Rivers State, is one of the major oil and gas hubs in the state. Like the story of other oil-producing areas in the Niger Delta, this community, with over 30 satellite communities, lack basic amenities, including drinking water. Residents say the lack of potable water, compounded by unfriendly oil exploration activities, is responsible for the outbreak of waterborne diseases in the area.
Over this time, you see that when there is water insecurity, people resort to all manner of things and drink. Where we defecate is where we bathe, where we also fetch water sometimes to use. So you can see that all the risk factors of cholera is there. That's why repeatedly, intermittently, from time to time it happens.
Look at how polluted is our water. Oil and gas. God has blessed us with giving us this oil and gas. But we are receiving the punishment now. All the waters are polluted.
Overwhelmed by the incessant outbreaks, the community recently sought the help of the Niger Delta Development Commission, and the interventionist agency swung into action with this medical mission.
We've seen cases of diarrhea, more than 1 week, some few days, some 3 weeks. We've been able to manage them, correct the dehydration, and then we reported those cases to Degema Hospital, which is a government hospital. So they assured us that they are going to come and take samples. So when they take samples, Then, when they dictate the vibro cholera and any other organism, like vibro cholera especially, that's when you now say, oh, this person has cholera.
The Rivers State representative of the Nddc governing board reiterates the Commission's commitment to fulfilling its responsibility to the people.
The primary problem here is water, bad water. I have gone around, I've seen some wells. I can't imagine that I can even bathe with the kind of water that they are scooping out of those wells. Yet, these are the waters that people drink choicelessly. So Nddc had approved that 10,000 gallons of water powered by solar will be sunk here in Soku. We also have agreed that, again, maybe the deedification system here is also a problem. The Nddc has assured that they are also going to build toilets, facilities for the people.
As the Nddc Medical Emergency Intervention Team leaves Soku community, residents are hoping that the Commission will make good its promise of providing potable drinking water, which will ultimately put an end to avoidable deaths in the area.
In Abia State, the Governor Alex Ochi says the Southeast governors are working collectively regardless of party lines to bring about the integration of the region. According to him, security remains paramount to the governors in order for meaningful development to take place. He made the remarks in Umuahia while receiving a delegation of a joint body of Southeast Council of Traditional Rulers and representatives of the Igbo archbishops and bishops, led by the Obi of Onitsha, Igwe Inemeka Achebe.
The issue of the governors of the Southeast, I can assure you that we are working together. We have made everybody understand that after political parties, elections, litigation, those take a back seat and governance take the front seat. So here, even though I'm a Labour Party governor, but I'm governor for everybody in Abia State, BU, PDP, APC, and we don't discriminate. We just do what we have to do. When we are giving service, it's to everybody. Government must step in at some point and take deliberate decisions to safeguard the economy. So creating jobs, of course. There's only so much jobs that the public sector can create. So government needs to now come in to support the private sector to create jobs, if for nothing at all, to ensure that insecurity is reduced to the barest minimum.
The 6th Division of the Nigerian Army Port Harcourt River State has uncovered yet another illegal oil refinery around Eche local government area, seizing approximately 1 million litres of crude oil. The garrison commander of the 6th Division and Sector 3 commander of Operation Niger Delta Safe, Brigadier General Evet Efyong, stated this when he led officers and soldiers on a raid at the Indigo facility. He revealed that due to the earlier raid by the military in the community, the suspect moved and established another site. Now let's find out what's happening in the world of business. Laddie Williams has all those details.
Thanks, Melinda. In business news, reactions have continued to trail the Central Bank of Nigeria's recommendation to the Nigeria Customs Service to utilize the FX closing rate on the date of the Form M submission by importers for the clearance of goods and import duty assessment. One is from the Center for Promotion of Private Enterprise, CPPE, welcoming the decision of the Central Bank as this could reduce the current uncertainty around import transactions in the economy. The CPPE, however, noted the CBN intervention did not address the bigger issue of the current prohibitive cost of cargo clearance at the port, which had risen by about 40% in the last 2 months, as the high exchange rates for import duty assessment is fueling the already high inflation, increasing production and operating costs for manufacturers and other businesses. In light of this, the CPP appeals to the CBN and the presidency to peg the customs duty exchange rate at 1,000 naira to the dollar for the rest of the year, in line with the federal government's commitment to alleviating the current hardships on the citizens and the burden on businesses. And to the markets now, negative sentiment dominated the domestic equities market this week as investors took profit after a buy interest last week. As a result, the all-share index declined by 3.44% week on week. And this week's dip has decreased the positive month return to 0.92%. Activity levels remained weak as trading volume and value declined week on week. Analyzing by sectors now, consumer goods counter was a major gainer, followed by the marginal gain in the oil and gas counter as all other counters we tracked declined. Julie PLC topped the gainers chart for the week, while Morrison Industries PLC led the declining stocks. Meanwhile, the trio of Guarantee Trust Holdings, FBN Holdings, and Transnational Corporation PLC top trades by volume. While on the flip side, the NASD unlisted securities market closed in the green. The index rose by over 3% to close at 1,188 points. Also, turnover for the week was positive as volume rose by 28.8%. Value traded rose even higher by 374% to 1.7 billion naira. Akeredolu Holdings PLC recorded the most significant gain as it rose by 10.6% to close at 2,700 naira, while Acorn Petroleum PLC followed on that list, as well as CSCS PLC. NASD PLC led the underperforming stocks with a 3.70% downtick. Also in that category, we see IGI PLC. Meanwhile, Akeredolu PLC top trades by volume as a result of investors' buy interest. The global oil market now, oil prices fell nearly 3% lower on Friday and posted a weekly decline after U.S. central bank policymaker indicated interest rate cuts could be delayed by at least 2 more months. Brent crude futures settled down $2, 2.5% at $81.62 a barrel, while U.S. WTI crude was down about $2.12 to $76.49 a barrel. For the week, Brent declined about 2% and WTI fell more than 3%. Analysts, however, forecast indications of healthy fuel demand and supply concerns could revive prices in the coming days. And that's it on Business News. Back to Melinda with the rest of News at 10.
Many thanks, Ladi. Slum to School Africa has partnered with the Lagos State Government, Dream Fields and Love Football to build a football pitch for children and youth in Makoko in Lagos Central. Slum to School Africa says the football pitch provides a safe platform for promoting physical, social and mental well-being for the residents.
One love, one mind, one love.
Slum to School Africa takes its empowerment of people in remote communities a notch higher with the commissioning of a football pitch in Makoko, Lagos. The football pitch provides an inclusive space for children and youths in Makoko, Iwaya, and other neighboring communities.
You can't overestimate what the impact will be. First of all, it brings peace, it fosters unity, it brings the community together. I mean, for the children to just see a space like this, what they see on TV, but right in the heart of their community, it inspires them to pursue their dreams, believing that it's possible. It creates an opportunity for the children to come and, maximize their potential, all kinds of sporting potential. So we can't, really overemphasize how important this will be, but this is just the beginning. We believe that with more partners and more collaborations, we can achieve much more for a community.
Chairman of Yaba Local Council Development Area, Mr. Kayode Omiyale, says the facility serves as a platform to harness the positive influences of sports on community development in Lagos Central.
This project has become part of LCDA asset in which we are going to maintain. We are going to designate some officers here for monitoring, for security, and some other things. So we are going to make use of it. We are not going to disappoint these people that have invested this project for us. For the next 3, 4, 5 years, if they come here, they will see it anew and well maintained.
Since its inception in 2012, Slum to School Africa has undertaken the education of more than 600,000 children and fostered community cohesion through sport.
Stories, let's cross over to our Abuja studios where Victoria Longjohn is standing by.
Welcome to Sports News. President Bola Tinubu, represented by the Governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, has declared open the 14th Biennial Nigeria Police Games holding in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. At the opening ceremony held at the Lekan Salami Stadium earlier today, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, says the games are targeted at fostering unity and courage amongst the police.
The Lekan Salami Stadium at Damasingwa in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, is playing host to the opening ceremony of the 14th Biennial Nigeria Police Games tagged Oluyole 2024.
We have here the representative of the Chief of Defense Staff.
In the next 8 days, these athletes from 17 zones will be competing for laurels in different sporting events.
The commander of this parade is SP Ismaila from Sanfarason. Command, Ecowas.
The arrival of the game's torch for lighting of the flame signifies the start of the event.
That is the light, that is the light. Can we please arbitrate, young ones?
The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, is excited. The Games has been a cradle for unveiling sports talents for years.
Throughout the years, the Nigerian police has been a fertile ground for nurturing sporting talents who have brought honor to our nation on both national and international stages. As we gather for this year's Biennial Police Games, I am optimistic that we will witness the emergence of new talents poised to carry forward the legacy of our esteemed sportsmen and women.
Then the host governor, Seyi Makinde, who also represents President Bola Tinubu, officially declares the games open.
These games also give us an opportunity to see another side of the Nigeria police force, the friendly side, the competitive side. So we expect a highly competitive game. So on behalf of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, I hereby declare the 14th Biennial Police Games, Oluyole 2024 open.
The 14th Biennial Police Games will end on March the 2nd.
And Enugu Rangers are the second team after Rivers United to score at the Doma United home ground in Gombe this season, following their 1-0 win in March Day 21 of the Nigeria Premier Football League played this evening. Chinemere Mugweze got the only goal of the match in the 30th minute to hand the Flying Antelopes a vital away win. Kwara United and Katsina United played a 1-1 draw in Ilorin. Isa Gata got the opener in the 44th minute. Michael Okoro got the equalizer in the 87th minute of the second half. Bendel Insurance were held to a goalless by reigning champions Eimba in Benin City. And Alex Iwobi stunned Manchester United with a dramatic stoppage time winner as Fulham dealt a blow to Eric Ten Hag's side's top four hopes with a 2-1 victory at Old Trafford earlier today. United had been in superb form in 2024, remaining unbeaten and winning their last 5 matches, while Rasmus Højlund had scored 7 goals in his last 6 games. Aston Villa moved 5 points clear of Tottenham in the race for Champions League football after beating Nottingham Forest 4-2. Lewis Dunk headed in a 95th minute equaliser to earn 10-player Brighton a point against Everton. And that's it on Sports News. It's now back to you, Melinda.
Many thanks, Victoria. On the international scene, the spokeswoman of leading Russian opposition figure, Alexei Navalny, says his body has been returned to his mother. She stated this in a post on X, where she thanked everyone who had demanded that the authorities hand over his remains. Navalny's mother had reportedly been told to agree to a secret burial, and that if she refused, her son would be buried at the prison colony where he died. After signing a death certificate saying her son had died of natural causes, she was then given 3 hours to agree to a secret funeral for her son. She added that the opposition leader's mother had apparently refused to negotiate with the authorities. 15 people have been killed and more than 14 others injured after a fire raged through an apartment building in eastern China. The blaze, which officials suggest started on the first floor of the building, where electric bikes are stored, engulfed several floors of a skyscraper in Nanjing City. 25 fire engines and 130 firefighters were sent to tackle it soon after emergency crew were alerted. The fire was put out by 6 a.m. local time. Search and rescue operations are over, but authorities are still investigating to determine the cause of the blaze. And the main news again. The Economic Community of West African States today made a U-turn and lifted some sanctions imposed on Niger Republic, Mali and Guinea. It also resolved to invite the countries to attend its technical, consultative and security-related meetings. An elder statesman, Professor Angu Abdullahi, has blamed the nation's political elite for the failures experienced since the nation's independence. He says it's time to return to the drawing board. And that's the news at 10 tonight. I'm Melinda Achilami. On behalf of the team, good night.